Uhuru, I'm Valerie Bronte. I am the Solidarity Spear Study Coordinator from Uhuru Solidarity Movement, and this is Penny Hess, Chairwoman of the African People's Solidarity Committee.
Uhuru, Valerie.
And today is our November 17th Solidarity Spear Study Live. This is hosted by the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. It's our weekly political education. We are under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, and we organize in the white community for reparations to African people. And it is my honor to have as our special guest today, Penny Hess, like I said, Chairwoman of the African People's Solidarity Committee, the first person to take the historic stance of reparations to African people when the party founded the Solidarity Committee in 1976. I want to say Uhuru and welcome to everyone joining the study. Please share this to your timelines. Share it to groups, invite people you think might be interested in learning more about white solidarity with Black power and how they can get involved. Also be sure to hit the bell to subscribe to our notifications so that you can be notified when we go live every Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I see that we have 2 people in the study right now. Please let us know when you've shared it by putting #shared, and let us know how your week has gone, what you've done to raise awareness of reparations in the white community and to build a culture of reparations to African people. Uhuru Jake Scott from Spokane, Washington. Thanks for being on this study today. Jake, awesome comrade from Spokane, and definitely an integral part of the wonderful Days of Reparations to African People tour stops in the Northeast, helping get the word out about our victorious event in Seattle, where Penny was also a featured speaker, along with our leadership chairman, Omali Yeshitela of the African People's Socialist Party. They also had a date last Tuesday in Portland, Oregon, which was another victory for our solidarity work. And so, yeah, powerful, powerful presentations. That the live videos are going to be, you can find them all in our videos on the Uhuru Solidarity Movement Facebook page. I want to say thank you to Jake for sharing. Uhuru, we have 5 viewers on.
All right.
I definitely want to first put forward and appreciate the wonderful opportunity that our leadership, the African People's Socialist Party, led by Chairman Omali Yeshitela and founded by Chairman Omali Yeshitela in 1972, has offered and created for white people to be a part of a principled stance in overturning parasitic capitalism and 6 centuries of colonial genocide. And we wouldn't be able to have this opportunity had the African People's Socialist Party not solved the question of white people and what to do about white people in this crisis of imperialism right now. So where we're at today, it started back in 1972 when the African People's Socialist Party was formed by the merging of 3 organizations: JOMO, the junta of militant organizations, the Black Rights Fighters, and the Gainesville Reading Group. And the Burning Spear newspaper, which we study every Saturday, came out of JOMO in 1968. It's going into its 50th year of uninterrupted publication. It is the oldest revolutionary newspaper in existence. And it is our honor to study this as white people so that we can understand the material circumstances of colonialism from the perspective of the African working class. So I want to give the mic over to Penny right now so she can explain the origin of the solidarity work, which started in 1976 with Penny.
Uhuru. Well, Valerie, I just really want to salute you as part of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement for holding this spear study every Saturday. It's very dynamic and always has a great response. And it's so important to be able to reach so many people and build and introduce them to the Burning Spear, the only newspaper of the African working class, and only revolutionary newspaper of the African working class that still exists today. And this has been coming out since 1968. So, you know, it's a long continuum in the struggle for African independence and freedom. So, you know, I think that first of all, I just want to say here we are in the beautiful Aquaba Hall of the Uhuru House in Oakland, California, where Valerie and I are both here to help work on the Uhuru Pie campaign. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. We're also facing serious challenges right now due to all of the fine particulate from the fires that have been raging throughout the state of California in the past couple of weeks, and which have been very tragic and resulted in many deaths. That all of this air is just sort of stuck over the Bay Area, and apparently it can't get through the Golden Gate. So it's stuck here, and it's really affected the pie campaign, because we're always out on tables in San Francisco, in Oakland, even other, Berkeley and Emeryville and other places around here. So it's affecting us. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. But we know that, that this is the people's organization, and there's tremendous support for the Uhuru Foods and Pies, which is a program of Black Star Industries led by the African People's Socialist Party. And as Valerie said, we're part of that based on our commitment to reparations for African people. And Uhuru Foods and Pies is something that is benefiting all the programs of Black Star Industries, including, and especially right now, the Black Power Blueprint out in St. Louis, which is just electrifying and transforming the north side of St. Louis by bringing programs of economic development and political power in the hands of the African working class there. So a fabulous and fantastic movement.
And something we got to witness firsthand. We had the honor of attending the 7th Congress of the African People's Socialist Party last month in St. Louis, Missouri, in the historic Aquaba Hall.
Right, in St. Louis.
In St. Louis, which is the first phase, first victory of the Black Power Blueprint campaign there. Within 7 months, a completely dilapidated building was transformed into a liberated territory for the African working class in the north side of St. Louis, which has been maligned by just been robbed senseless of resources and opportunities. The African working class there has limited access to food. Any economic opportunities are completely stagnant, and dilapidated houses are falling in on themselves everywhere.
And this tremendous work there is led by Deputy Chair Onezine Shitala, who is over the economic front of all the work of the African People's Socialist Party. And I don't know, if a lot of people know, but there's 24 to 26 institutions of the party of different fronts and aspects of self-reliance for the African community. And it's very, very powerful to see that, because the party is absolutely committed to winning the liberation of Africa and African people, to creating a state power that can protect African people from the assaults by Europeans or anybody else that's hostile to the interests of African people, protecting the African continent and African nation, and being able to have the return of their stolen resources. I just wanted to say that this past, 6 weeks, I think it has been amazing, because we started out with the week-long Congress of the party, the African People's Socialist Party. It was the 7th Congress, where everybody comes together from all over the world to adopt the political report, which is basically the plan of action of the party for the next 5 years, and to really give reports and talk about where the party is going. It was so dynamic. It was really powerful. It was an honor for us from the African People's Solidarity Committee and a number of people from, white people in Solidarity able to be there. So then just a few days after that ended, we had the Day of Reparations to African people in St. Louis. And that was amazing. And then we went from there to Huntsville, Alabama for another Day of Reparations. From there to, where do we go? St. Petersburg, and then Gainesville. And then we went to the Black is Back, which was the first weekend of November in Washington, D.C. We went from there to Philadelphia for Day of Reparations, then to New York, to Boston. And then we went to Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, and everywhere we had such a tremendous response to, to the call for white people to stand up for reparations to African people and to recognize that it's in our interest. And I really want to salute all the amazing organizers, Chair of USM, Jesse Neville, Mads from Portland, and Marissa from Seattle, Comrade Hallie from Boston, Comrade Connor, who coordinated both New York and
amazing.
New York and Philly, and then Carrie Porter from Huntsville, Alabama, Diane Tournay from Gainesville, Comrade Renee, and others from St. Petersburg. Everybody did an amazing job. And we're just in a really profound, and, for me, who's been in the African People's Solidarity Committee since 1976, to begin to see white people really, in a mass way, begin to hear this, begin to recognize that, that this is parasitic capitalism, and that we as white people sit on the pedestal of the oppression of African people, on the assault on Africa, the enslavement of Africans, the theft of their land, the genocide against the indigenous people, and the colonization of the majority of the people on the planet Earth. And therefore, this is why, we have the highest standard of living in the world, and the ability to, be the subjects of history, as the chairman says, that determines, and lays out for everybody else what they're supposed to think and how they are supposed to experience the world. So this is turning the world right side up.
It truly is, very powerful. Yeah. And
it's
turning the world right side up in a material sense, in an actual, real, on-the-ground sense. Because when we talk about uniting around and adopting a plan of action, we are under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, and they are transforming history materially. African internationalism, which is the perspective of the Burning Spear newspaper, is a materialist political philosophy founded by Chairman Omali Yeshitela, and it basically is, our theory is our practice. Our theory has to be our practice. So as part of the solidarity work, our practice has to be material solidarity, actual return of stolen, hoarded resources from the white community to these programs for a liberated African economy that are so successful and so winning on the ground right now in Oakland. Like we said, this is the 37th year of the Uhuru Pies campaign. When out there selling pies today, everybody knew Uhuru Pies by name, and if they didn't, they had a taste of pie, and they will never forget Uhuru Pies. That's absolutely the case. But it started in the late 70s with concessions. A lot of us were out here in Oakland, and the African People's Socialist Party, and the chairman was out here, and they called it the mountain, the rear base, because California historically has been more liberal. It has the kind of climate that lets you be able to be outside and having food booths and outdoor markets really about 350 out of 365 days a year, so it was conducive, it was liberal, and a very wealthy area, and open to these politics and these questions. And Chairman Omali Yeshitela led that and lived in San Francisco, and then later in Oakland, as we were out here in the Bay Area. And then in the early 1980s, I think in 1979, we held the first booth at San Francisco Pride. Back then it was called the Gay Liberation Day. And we did that as a fundraiser for the campaign to free Desi Woods, an African woman who fought off a white man that tried to rape her and her friend, and she fought for and got his gun and killed him in self-defense, and was sentenced to 22 years in prison. And the slogan led by the party was Free Desi Woods, Smash Colonial Violence. And it was a very powerful struggle and movement. We could just really talk about that one of these days, because it went around the world. That is the timeline that the Uhuru movement has created to really, so that African people are now they are now the subjects of history, and we're transforming history by, you know, coming under the correct leadership of the African working class revolutionary vanguard. And that's what's so important and what makes this movement so unique, and the work that we're doing, not a charity stance, but really a revolutionary solidarity stance. And that is what, you know, as part of the Solidarity Spears study, every week we come, of course, to bring African internationalism into the timelines and social media of white people, but also to really put forward and appreciate our leadership and the victories of our leadership, and understand our place in history on this timeline under this leadership that is the continuation of the Marcus Garvey movement, that is the continuation of the Black Power revolutionary movements of the 1960s. The actual same genesis this line has been unbroken, and we really need to celebrate the victorious resistance of the African working class that's made that possible. And so that's, you know, why it's our honor as part of the solidarity work to, of course, sell the spear, propagate the spear, bring the spear wherever we can into the white community. Certainly, if you know me, I have sold you a spear. If you don't have your November 2018 burning spear, you know you can message me right now, and I will mail one to you wherever you are on the planet Earth. I will meet you in a parking lot with a pack of 10 spears in a mall in Honolulu. You know where to find me. And we are going to read this month's article, White Solidarity with the Vanguard Party of the African Revolution. It's from the November 2018 Spear. I do apologize that we don't have a link online, so if you need a burning spear for this month, you have to get in touch with your local Uhuru Solidarity Movement organizer. And I'm going to begin the article. It is written by column editor Penny Hess. So
it's actually written by
it was written by our Uhuru Solidarity member chair, but the column editor is of course our chairwoman Penny Hess. And so I just again want to salute this awesome opportunity to have Penny. This is the first time you've been on the Solidarity Spear study. This is really exciting. It's the first time I've been in the Oakland Uhuru House, and I'm looking at posters from the Desi Woods campaign, and now I get to sell pies that are creating this liberated economic territory and supporting the Black Power Blueprint, which is transforming North St. Louis. So we definitely want to put forward this opportunity as being incredibly unique and incredibly historic. So, White Solidarity with the Vanguard Party of the African Revolution. Solidarity salutes the 7th Congress of the African People's Socialist Party. St. Louis, 50 members of the African People's Solidarity Committee and its mass organization, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, traveled to St. Louis, Missouri on October 6th for the 7th Congress of the African People's Socialist Party, the most significant event in the past 100 years since the Garvey movement of the 1920s. The life of every solidarity force who had the opportunity to attend was forever transformed. The Congress unleashed the solidarity forces into the world, re-energized to step up our work 1,000-fold in deepening the crisis of imperialism and winning massive reparations to African people from the white population. Each Solidarity member left the Congress determined and resolved to take the work of reparations to African people to a higher level as our strategic front of the African Workers' Vanguard Party, the advanced detachment of the worldwide African Revolution. APSC gives our deepest revolutionary salute to our leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, who is the anti-colonial world leader for these times. Chairman forms APSC, allowing white people to be on the right side of history. Chairman Omali Yeshitela is the leader who fought through brutal periods of counterinsurgency almost single-handedly to rebuild the Black Revolution after its crushing defeat by the US government in the 1960s. It was the chairman who fought against the tide of history to reverse the verdict of imperialism and advance the explicit mission of, quote, completing the Black Revolution of the 60s, end quote. Building the African People's Socialist Party in 1972, which can now host its 7th Congress in this period of the deepening crisis for white power. It was the chairman who solved mostly every problem left over from the 1960s, including the problem of defining a principled, strategic relationship for white people to have with the African revolutionary struggle. The APSC was formed in 1976 by Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the African People's Socialist Party to extend the struggle for African liberation into the white oppressor nation population. APSC is tasked with the strategic assignment of organizing white people under the leadership of the party to build a mass movement of reparations. Reparations is defined as material solidarity from the white population with the movement for African freedom, and specifically with the concrete programs of the party for dual and contending economic power in the hands of the African working class. Chairwoman Penny Hess, who has worked under the chairman's leadership for 42 years, leading the work of building white solidarity with Black power, led the APSC workshop, which included presentations from the Office of Reparations and Economic Development and the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. Chairwoman Penny laid out the chairman's political basis for the creation of the Solidarity Movement and why APSC must unite with the struggle to overturn subjectivism, the reactionary and opportunist tendency to place ourselves in the center. Quote, white people are no longer the subjects of history, unquote, Chairwoman Penny explained. Chairwoman Penny discussed the plans to build APSC, USM, and the movement of solidarity with the Black Power blueprint in this upcoming year. She also made the call for white people to break our allegiance to a dying white power imperialism and to commit national suicide as opposed to actual suicide or apathetic submission to the, quote, depths of despair, end quote, consuming the white world in this era of crisis-ridden imperialism. Uhuru, Penny, you want to complete the article?
Okay. When we commit national suicide, said Chairwoman Penny, our flag is no longer the American flag. The red, black, and green becomes our flag too. These words resonated in Aquaba Hall, where right across the street, a massive red, black, and green flag of the African nation shone brilliantly from atop a 50-foot flagpole. Each morning of the Congress began with a military procession to raise and salute the flag. Solidarity forces participated in these color guard marches in honor and respect for the African national flag. Chairwoman Penny also saluted the deep unity between the African Revolution and the Mexican Revolution, as exemplified by the presence of leaders of Unión de Barrio who were present for much of the Congress. Other members of the APSC and USM reported that the Congress had deeply impacted them and mobilized them to fight harder to win reparations to African people. Gregory Pfister, a St. Louis-based member of Uhuru Solidarity Movement, stated, quote, while I was at the Congress, I truly felt in my bones that I was in liberated territory. It was an incredible honor to be in a gathering so rich with culture and history when all around us is white history and white culture, violence, isolation, gentrification, displacement, and exploitation. Ali Ayello, who traveled from Boston, where she coordinates the Uhuru Birthday Fundraisers campaign, agreed. She said the Congress was nothing short of incredible. It is clear after being at the Congress that the African People's Socialist Party is unstoppable. They're in every political, social, and economic sphere. It was an honor to be there. Casey Mackey, the Midwest regional representative of the APSC, said she was, quote, re-energized to, quote, vanguard up on every level, building the movement of reparations like never before, upping the Midwest beer sales, studying more diligently, smashing subjectivity and individualism, and bringing the person that the people need to be, and being the person that people need to be. The APSC and USM are now embarking on the Days of Reparations to African People tour, hosting Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and other party leaders to speak in cities throughout the U.S. and expand the mass movement for reparations to the African Revolution. And, you know, that leads us to here. And the fact that the chairman was able to be on almost all the tour events and We've got so many new members, raised actual reparations and resources towards the Black Power Blueprint, the work of Black Star Industries. And it was so moving, and it was very powerful.
And we really cannot leave out a mention of the victory in a completely new hemisphere. For
Australia.
Yeah, for the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and the
Yes.
solidarity work under the leadership of the party. We are going to expand to every time zone on the planet where white people are. They will be in solidarity with the African Revolution. So Perth, Australia, on the 10th of November, hosted a historic viewing party of the New York event, which I had the honor and opportunity to be at. So the chairman spoke and Penny spoke, and the chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, Jesse Neville, again gave an electrifying appeal with our local comrade from the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, Janet Sturm Capron, and yeah, we blew it out of the water. It was amazing. A great night, so thrilling. Packed house, and a nearly packed huge event in Boston. Again, another complete victory, and that was another opportunity that I had the opportunity that I got to take and be a part of these events. And last year I was in Hawaii, a center, an outpost of colonial capitalism, and I was unable to attend, but I was so excited that I got to come back from Hawaii in time. We've done a spear study in the Honolulu airport a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, again, I just want to really appreciate this article by Chair Jesse Neville of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, and this column, of course, we every month we devote an episode of the Solidarity Spear Study to the White Solidarity with Black Power column, because there's a lot that of course needs to be said about white subjectivity and the fact that we've made ourselves the subjects of history, but we have to make ourselves the subjects of solidarity right now, and the solidarity movement is where we should be leading, and we should be understanding our role as part of that strategy of African liberation by reading The Burning Spear, and of course focusing on what our role is not necessarily to criticize anything else that's happening outside of our own white communities. We are here to organize in our own white communities. We are here to criticize parasitic capitalism that we benefit from. We're here to criticize colonialism on the pedestal of which that white people exist at the expense of everybody else on the planet.
So true.
And it's so important I'm just so excited to be here. I haven't been in Oakland since before I had the opportunity to attend the 2017 Uhuru Solidarity Movement Conference, which is when I became a member. Oh, okay. Yeah, and I remember going to the Black Panther exhibit in a local museum, art museum here in Oakland, and really feeling a little bit like the thread was still out there. Nothing had been summed up about the period, because of course it was from the perspective of the white ruling class, from the bourgeoisie. It was a unique and quaint period of time for them that they couldn't see a historical connection to anything that was going on today, and that is the exact opposite of the future that's being presented by the Uhuru movement under the leadership of the chairman Amalia Shatella and the African People's Socialist Party. And so that's a total honor. I want to thank everybody who has joined us in the study today. Very shortly, we hope to have the opportunity to speak with Bakari Olatunji of Uhuru Foods and Pies, who has been an integral part of coordinating this campaign, along with Maureen Wagner of Uhuru Foods and Pies, who's also here at the Uhuru House with us. But I wanted to sum up, these little sound bites that we have from our comrades here in this article. I remember I would come and sit with Penny during lunch during the Congress, and I was saying the exact same thing. I mean, just the opportunity to see the future that as white people in solidarity, we could be a part of this, and we could have a hand in a principled stance in overturning 6 centuries of colonial genocide that we've benefited from. I mean, and then just seeing the absolute transparency and principled stance of all of the party comrades there, and really recognizing how powerful and profound our leadership is. And that just really like instilled in me such a deep appreciation for the ability to organize under their leadership. So I want to definitely salute and appreciate and put forward Chairwoman Penny for being the first person to take that stance in 1976. And again, you know, we have as white people this responsibility, but it's also a profound opportunity. And it didn't have to, you know, it doesn't have to be extended to us. You know, colonized people will be free, they will resist, and they will lead themselves to liberation no matter what. Imperialism and parasitic capitalism is just not sustainable. We're, you know, a rapidly dwindling population of white people living at the expense of everybody else.
Right.
And just in a couple of decades, we're, you know, it's not even going to be a question, you know. So for us to get on the right side of history, the time is now. It is incredibly urgent for us to understand the perspective of the African working class, to understand the trajectory that has been laid forth by the African People's Socialist Party, which is the undisputed revolutionary vanguard of the African working class, and to unite with the revolutionary demand for reparations. This is our one way that we can be a part of a principled struggle against colonialism and imperialism from which we benefit. And we have access to the resources, the stolen and hoarded resources, and we have access to the social capital for sure. And yeah, this is,
you know, I was just going to say, Valerie, like one of the things in this paper is that people can order the political report, which is going to be published as a book called The Vanguard, The Advanced Attachment of the African Revolution, to see what the chairman wrote. The summation of this period of understanding even covers things on the Trump administration and everything that's happening, as well as goes into the question of the counterinsurgency and defines further the political understandings of the African People's Socialist Party and answering the question, to what end? Because, you know, the party is building and what we're just talking about in St. Louis, and that was subsequent to the police murder of Mike Brown in 2014, so just like 4 years ago. And there was incredible resistance there, but it didn't have any leadership, you know. So what is the goal? What is the goal? And the African People's Socialist Party and the chairman himself went right into St. Louis and Ferguson and started organizing and met who is now Colin Bai-Andanet, who is the president of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, who is the leader, you know, and who grew up there in Ferguson and in St. Louis, and just this growing movement in that town based on gaining dual and contending political power in the hands of the African working class, which is really historic and, you know, just and amazing that this is happening. And it is what the people want, because they can see that you can demonstrate and demonstrate, and yet there's another police murder the next day and the next day and the next day.
The protests won't stop police murder. The signs in your yard won't stop police murder. Every 18 hours, an African person is murdered by the police or a white vigilante. And the only thing that's going to stop that is Black power, is dual and contending power in the hands of the African working class, so that they can feed, clothe, and house themselves and defend themselves from police containment, from home invasions by child protective services, from schools, you know, colonial school system that is basically no different than a prison, is based on the model of how a prison should function. I mean, that's a historical fact. You can Google that one. But yes, this is the essential and necessary component for the overturning of colonialism and parasitic capitalism, is Black power, is African liberation in its entirety. Africa itself, all of the resources, and African people wherever they are on earth are not considered a race of Black people. That's white colonialist ideology. What is true is they are a nation of people wherever they have been forcibly dispersed by colonialism and chattel slavery, and that their birthright is Africa, including all the natural resources that the world gluts itself on, and Europe and North America capitalize on.
I mean, it really makes sense. And, you know, and then when you understand what the party is struggling for, not, you know, not some reform, but the end of white power, the end of imperialism, and the liberation, not only of African people, but all oppressed and colonized people. It's a trajectory that must go together, and the party wants to bring everybody with them, and they have a place for white people, which is to go back into the belly of the beast, which makes so much sense. They created the African People's Solidarity Committee as a strategic organization to extend the African Revolution into the white population, which is brilliant. Because it's not their responsibility, nor is it even possible for African people to go into the heart of the white population and do that. That is our responsibility, and it's what we can do.
Yep.
And so we have to be there. We have to be there where winning as many white people as we can to come onto this forward side of the history, and also to be returning the stolen resources that are the actual value of the labor of African people and the minerals and resources and wealth of African people, to return it back to the African Revolution. Not something like buying dinner for, you know, it's nothing like that. It's not personal, because it's saying that African people can't be free without having the wealth that's theirs.
That's 100%
theirs. Economics, because there's no revolution without that.
No, there's an economic basis for the oppression of African and colonized people worldwide, just like there'll be an economic basis for the liberation of African and colonized people worldwide. And that is what we're a part of. When we say we're materialists, when we say this is material solidarity, what we're talking about here is not a charity politic. We're not talking about reparations where I'm buying baby formula or diapers for one person. What we're doing is building dual and contending power through the party's economic institutions by returning these stolen resources and organizing in our own communities, the white communities, so that we can bring African internationalism and this opportunity to people. And we want to, because we know that the white left is completely empty. It's completely void of answers. It's completely void of leadership. It's completely void of any solution that's not a charity politic or something incredibly defensive or incredibly subjective. And so this Solidarity Spear study today has a goal of $110, because we are on the timeline of the African Revolution. So when we make a pledge to return resources to the African People's Socialist Party, we make our pledge of reality. We are accountable for every dollar that we pledge to the party. So this is part of the solidarity work. Is the Spear study is this weekly political education, but it has a material resources goal. So today is $110, and I want to salute Evan Garner from Asheville, North Carolina, who is pledging $10 to the program today.
All right.
Uhuru Evans.
Uhuru.
So that's gotten us to $100 left of today's goal. And of course, we'd love to go over today's goal. And $100 in the white community can be a t-shirt from a, you know, mid-range store. Could be a pair of shoes. It could be your cell phone bill for the month if you are as unfortunate as I am to have AT&T. But we spend $100 like within a blink of an eye. But not every white person, of course. You know, there is still suffering on the pedestal of colonialism. Not every white person has access to $100, and we understand that as well. And there is absolutely, we want to let you know, there's absolutely nothing standing in the way of raising reparations to African people, regardless of where you are at in your life right now. So $100 is the goal. If someone can give $100 to our study today, please put that in the comments everything is going directly to blackpowerblueprint.org today. And we'll talk a little bit more about why we're doing everything to our blackpowerblueprint.org. I mean, again, all of the resources that are returned through Uhuru Solidarity Movement are going to Black Power Blueprint during this period, but we have fundraising goals that we want to make. A part of them is our 10,000 Pies campaign for Black Power Blueprint and our Giving Tuesday campaign that's coming up. And Kristen, I want to salute Kristen from Spokane, Washington. We'll be returning $20. Thank you, Valerie and Chairwoman Penny, for the study today. Uhuru, thank you so much for participating every week. Kristen is an awesome comrade that was a huge part of putting on the Seattle Day of Reparations to African people.
We just saw a few days ago, so it's really fun.
And I want to salute Kristen and Jeanette Cruz for the beautiful African flag quilts, the African liberation flag quilts that they brought to the Days of Reparations to African people in Seattle. And again, salute Marissa Laufer, the coordinator there on the ground in Seattle, which is really building the solidarity work there so tremendously, and an incredible comrade, So we are now at $90 left. Oh, sorry, no, not $90. We're at $80 left for the study today for our goal. And I want to say a little bit more about we have another awesome Uhuru from Poland. This is our comrade from Poland, Gabriel. Gabriel says, Uhuru from Poland just got here. We'll watch the whole study tomorrow, but I'm pledging $15. All
right. This is Poland.
Gabriel learned about Uhuru Solidarity Movement through social media, which is why it's so important for us to be here on Facebook. And of course, we want to expand as much as possible. But Gabriel is an incredible comrade from Poland that tunes into the Spear Study every week. I want to salute and put forward Gabriel for their commitment to reparations to African people. Even in Poland, Gabriel has been translating for us. Their translation of our White Solidarity with Black Power video into Polish. We're in the process right now of translating that video into several other languages so that we can continue to build in Europe where folks might not have English as their first language or have full English comprehension. We need to let people know the opportunity that exists for them to get on the right side of history. So I definitely want to salute Gabriel, and then our fabulous comrade from Costa Rica, Diane Batiste, returning $50 today. Wow. Uhuru.
Diane.
Thank you both for everything you do, Uhuru. And Diane is a solid, consistent supporter of the Burning Spear Study and the solidarity work and the Black Power Blueprint. And, we can't appreciate Diane enough. Really, sharing as much as possible, and just a wonderful comrade, a wonderful force in Costa Rica, bringing white solidarity with Black Power to every part of the globe. That is the goal, that is the mandate from the party and the chairman, is that we must expand. And wherever the party needs to go, the solidarity movement needs to follow.
And, and just to say, as I'm sure you're going to have announcements, but there is going to be a Black Power Blueprint webinar on Tuesday that's actually coordinated by Uhuru Solidarity Movement, and it's called Everything That You Ever Learned About Thanksgiving is a Lie. And we're going to really expose that myth and talk about the genocide and the conditions, the colonial domination and violence and genocide and rape and pillage of indigenous people and the theft of their land. So
because here we sit in California on stolen land of the indigenous people here. The Spanish missionaries came and murdered, raped, and pillaged the indigenous people here. And and there's this romantic almost tourist recollection of that time period with, visit old missions, visit old churches. These were the sites of the destruction of the indigenous culture here. These were the sites of bloodshed and torture and torment and slavery. And it's something that as white people, especially within the illegitimate borders of this particular nation, need to really be accountable for. Americans especially, just the naming of the continent of Turtle Island to North America. Most people don't know. I mean, if you watch the Solidarity Spear Study, I try to say this all the time, but it's named after an Italian slaver, Amerigo Vespucci. And certainly, we're all coming into consciousness of the lies of Christopher Columbus and the lies of colonialism that of course the colonial education system in the United States has forced down everyone's throat. So, it's time for us to really purge all of that white ruling class nonsense as we see the crisis of imperialism deepen. We have to get rid of all of these ridiculous notions and all of these disturbed ideologies that were used to justify colonial genocide. I want to salute our fabulous moderator. And I definitely want to appreciate Johan Bedingfield. He is joining us from Largo, Florida, and he is our Solidarity Spear social media coordinator. Right. Just came onto that role, and we plan to build the spear as big as we possibly can all throughout social media. And Johan will return $10 by December 3rd for the study. Uhuru, Johan, that is incredibly powerful. I want to thank you so much for all your help with the spear. All right.
We should be pretty close.
Yeah, we're pretty close. Okay, so 10 and 50 is 60, and 20 is 80, and 15 from Gabriel is 95, and 10 from Evan is 105, and the last $5. If somebody can return $5 to this study, we will have met our goal. And our goal is a little bit higher than normal today because, like I said, we're on the revolutionary timeline of the African People's Socialist Party. So we didn't make our goal last study, so we roll in our shortfall into the next study's goal because we have to impress upon you, I have to impress upon you how important and how urgent the demand for reparations is. We want to be building this right now. Even white power recognizes the severe crisis it has found itself in. You have the United Nations itself putting out reports saying that if we can't turn around it's nothing else besides our economic system. They didn't say if everybody starts using metal straws and their own silverware, we'll be able to stop, the climate catastrophe that we find ourselves in. They said that we need to completely revolutionize our economic system. And that means that parasitic capitalism must be overturned. And I talked a little bit about this, about the collapse of the ocean's ecosystems, which is charted for the next 40 years. We're about to see fish vanish from the ocean.
Well, they're already calling the Pacific Ocean a desert because here in California, the starfish are gone, the abalone are gone, the kelp forests are gone. So that is the habitat for the fish and the sea life that have been near the near the shore for tens or 30,000 years or however, and they're gone. And this is because the same system that would wipe out and commit genocide against hundreds of millions of people and hundreds of millions of human beings and wipe out civilizations that were the greatest civilizations on the planet Earth in order to, build the system based on violence, on demeaning and breaking down and just, as we've said, rape and pillage and enslavement, turning African human beings into commodities, into machines, human working machines. Any kind of system such as that has no compunction about destroying the entire planet Earth. in order to get something for profit and for the ruling class. And we as white people have been complicit with this, and we have to recognize that this planet itself is not going to be able to continue under this system. And it's very interesting that even the United Nations has summed this up, that it's in a state where it can no longer have a habitat to support the existence of any life, including human life on this planet. And we have these ruling class people trying to, getting these spaceships going to Mars and all this stuff. I guess they're thinking about where they're going to go.
Yeah, you won't be on that spaceship.
No. And
tickets are not available for you. Sorry.
They have bunkers and they have all kinds of things, and they're saving seeds and all this stuff. They've got their plan, but the only thing that's going to save this planet is the destruction of white power and the ability of African, indigenous, and oppressed peoples everywhere to have control over their lives, to return to a system that wasn't based on profit, that wasn't even based on money. This is imperialism that created that. And, have the ability for the African working class, the genius of it, to just come alive and be able to go beyond just the need for bare survival that people have been forced into by the system, and to have the genius, talents, and humanity of the African working class and the indigenous people and oppressed people who will be able to solve this problem, because white power is not going to solve it.
White power is not going to solve this. Capitalist corporations are not going to solve this, as we see the Bay Area blanketed in smoke and haze from a quote-unquote campfire in Northern California. That's just another lie being put forward brazenly, shamelessly by a utility company here to cover up for the fact that their transformer and their power lines were sparking, to the point where they were even letting their customers in the area know that, using the word sparks, using the actual words, and now denying it. Bold-faced lies in every media outlet possible, and thuggish bullying of the customers who spoke truth to power in Northern California.
That's right. And at the same time, that this climate change exists, which exists through parasitic capitalism overall, it has created conditions in which, as we know, the glaciers and the ice in the Arctic is melting, and that is making the ocean more acidic and less salty, less saline, and that is pushing the Gulf Stream down further, so that in times, in this past year, that there are times when the Arctic Circle has been 90 degrees, and then it might be, blizzards and everything in the northern hemisphere here. And we just have Valerie, who was coming from New York, where there was this blizzard out there on the East Coast, and then out here in California, drought that's been going on for years and years and years, and this climate change that it is killing trees. I mean, it's been up to 115 degrees in Los Angeles. So even this natural air conditioner, which they call the evening fog or low-lying cloud cover that comes in the evening, that cools off even as hot as it may be in the daytime, all of this is going away now because the climate is changing based on the rape of the earth of imperialism. And something like PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, who just is about getting profits for themselves and further destroying the planet. And their transformers spark this an incredibly tinderbox situation based on the climate change that exists, and it just erupted in these incredible fires here that create their own ecosystem. And these fires burned uphill for the first time. They usually burn downhill. They burned uphill. They created their own weather that had tornadoes of fire just, you know, just swirling around.
And you can see the absolute devastating live footage, and
Yeah.
you know, not only loss of trees and land, but also property and lives.
And there's still 1,000 people missing. Up to 60 people already killed in their houses. And, you know, I mean, the thing is that we have to say that this didn't happen when indigenous people had control of this land. And what it means, you know, and something that the indigenous people have always raised about, well, if you kill the species or the buffalo, or, you know, they go extinct, who's going to take its place? Because it's an ecosystem. This is something that they've raised, and human beings are part of this. And that, you know, when we talk about the kind of conditions that has been created, and now these white towns are being burnt to the ground, and we have African people living under colonialism for the last 600 years, who here in Oakland have fog and smog and, you know, pollution every single day of their lives, and live under the gun of the colonial violence of the state. You know, it's like we have to look at the reality that these things, the colonization of African people and indigenous people, is what created the conditions for these kind of fires.
Absolutely. It created the entire global economy from which parasitic capitalism was able to exploit all of the world's resources.
Exactly. So,
and most of the world's people, as we know, you know, 80% of the world lives on, you know, less than $10 a day, and 50% of the world lives on less than $2.50.
You know, we were going to talk to, and possibly Bakri Tunji is possibly not going to be able to make it, because he is out. You know, everybody's wearing a mask here because of this cloud of particulate matter that is just hanging over the Bay Area here, that is making it a very, very dangerous
to
breathe and be outside. So the Uhuru Foods, and Maureen's coming, who's the coordinator of Uhuru Foods, so she can come on into this discussion.
Yeah, I want to first off appreciate Penny for this discussion. Just want to say that our plan is solidarity. Is the Black Power blueprint. We don't have spaceships and seeds, but we have the Black Power blueprint, and we have the leadership of the African working class, Chairman Amalia Shatella, Deputy Chair Onizanea Shatella, and the African People's Socialist Party. And this is the winning team. It's not going to be Elon Musk on a rocket ship. So this is our plan. We want to know what your plan is. We have $5 left in our goal for today's study. And I want to introduce Maureen Wagner for Uhuru Foods and Pies, because how the Black Power Blueprint will be the most successful is with support of you right now. And so I want to really appreciate this opportunity I've had to be a part of the Uhuru Pies campaign out here, because yeah, as with the toxic conditions and just the devastation of the African working class community here in Oakland by gentrification and police containment.
Right, and living in situations where African people catch hell in Oakland. And it's been really critical and important that the African People's Socialist Party and Uhuru Movement have been here for 35 years, and we've always had the Pie campaign. This is Maureen Wagner, who is the coordinator under the office of Deputy Chair Onizanea Shatella, who leads all of the 26 institutions of the African People's Socialist Party. And one of the important ones is the Uhuru Foods and Pies that Maureen is the coordinator of, directly under Deputy Chair, which is really, really significant, because there's no other organization of the African Revolution that's out there that has, for the last 40 years, built institutions of economic power. And just to say, Maureen, that you know, every year Uhuru Foods and Pies are out there with the Holiday of Pie campaign. We're on pop-ups and tables all over the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland, but we're not able to be outside right now because everybody has to wear these masks. We've been outside a little bit, but not to the extent that we usually are. And this is really negatively impacting this very, very, very important resource institution here in this time of year. And we really want to call on people to support this, So so tell us a little bit about this one.
Well, I just first want to say, I am a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee and do work under the leadership of Deputy Chair Onezime Shatella, as Chairwoman Penny said. And it's just a profound honor to be able to do that. And just want to really salute Deputy Chair and the African People's Socialist Party. Uhuru Foods and Pies is part of Black Star Industries. And Black Star Industries is the brainchild of Chairman Omali Shatella, to bring an economic engine into the Black community that's owned and controlled by the Black community. Yeah. So I really appreciate the study today. And earlier, Penny and Valerie were talking about, being the front of the African Revolution and the African economic development in the white community. And a pie is a really good entry into the white community. To bring this in and then to say this pie is special because this pie means economic development and self-reliance for the Black community. Right. And you have a choice you can make, during the holiday, and it's not charity. This is a way to do reparations. Mm-hmm. You can get a pie, but you can also write a check. You can make an extra donation online, and you can come and volunteer and be a part of building up this one of the 26 institutions of the African People's Socialist Party. I mean, the chairman said, we want your labor. Come into these institutions, help build them, help bring the skills, the resources, the access to even the donated apples that we get or the donated yams, which businesses give. So there's a lot of opportunities for people to participate, but we really are impacted by the weather because a big part of our strategy has been to do these pop-ups, which is a really popular term in the Bay Area. You just pop up with food somewhere. And we reach hundreds and hundreds of people by doing that and have supported, they look for us. People know, if I go to this store on this day, I can find an Uhuru pie. In fact, one person one time told me they were walking up to the Safeway grocery store and she goes, I knew I needed something, but I couldn't remember what it was until I saw your truck. And it was Uhuru Pies. So it's a tradition. So there's other ways to get your pies, though. You can order. You can
at Uhuru
Pies.org. Uhurupies.org. You can reach us on our Facebook page if you need to.
And I just want to say that these pies are amazing. These aren't something that, you have to have political support. Even if you don't have political support, you would just want to buy these pies. Tell about all the different kinds of pies that we have.
So we bake these pies in the kitchen. Many people volunteer to bake them, but they still come out the best every single time because people are really committed to it. And I just saw Bakri Olatunji walk in, and we'll have him come over in a second. But we have apple pie made with organic apples that were donated by Imperfect Produce. We have sweet potato pies made with yams that were donated by Deriva Produce.
Show one.
Here comes a pie. This is this blackberry pie.
Beautiful. Vegan blackberry pie.
And the blackberries, we make sure to get the best blackberries we can get. They come from Oregon. We get the same ones all the time. So if you have a hankering for that taste, when you bite into that pie, it's going to taste exactly the same year after year after year because berries are just pop out. Mm-hmm. What do they say? They're the star of the pie, the berries. So, and then the apples, apple cranberry, chocolate pecan, regular pecan, the sweet potato, the pumpkin. And when I grew up, I did not like pumpkin pie. This pumpkin pie is special. This one I would eat.
Pumpkin, and we have vegan
sweet
potato that I think is off the chart. It's so good.
It's really good.
I love tasting that with eggs or milk in it.
And and we're asking everybody to contribute through the pie campaign to the Black Power Blueprint directly. And on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving is called Giving Tuesday. And it's a day when a lot of people support their favorite charity. But on that day, you can do reparations and support the Black Power Blueprint. And there'll be an online campaign. You can set up a little fundraiser on your Facebook page on Giving Tuesday, and I think we're going to carry it out through the month of December. So Giving Tuesday, you can find that. Also look at blackpowerblueprint.org. And
I just wanted to say also that if anybody is on that is from the Bay Area or has friends or knows people in the Bay Area, because we're also looking for places right now to have these pie tables indoors. Like today, we were at a wonderful store in downtown Oakland called Flax. We want to thank them for the tremendous support. We had a great table inside. We had a lot of people coming in for Christmas shopping and all that kind of thing. We were also at the Queer Gym.
Yeah, thank you,
Here,
Natalie.
and Natalie that was a wonderful table who jumped in and had us come and do a table there this morning and early this afternoon. That was very, very successful. So the community is really jumping in and helping this to happen, because normally we would be outside all day and into the evening, you know, selling these pies, and people love it and miss us. And, you know, actually Valkyrie did do a table, Valkyrie and Suchis did do a table in front of Grand Avenue Safeway. We had to be there, right across from Uhuru Furniture, and everybody, there would be probably a rebellion here if we weren't there.
Exactly.
So we had to be there, and they braved it with their masks on, talking to people, because the air is so bad and very dangerous here. So if anybody has any place or knows any place that we could have a table indoors in the next few days, because they're saying that this is not going to clear up until Wednesday. And, you know, Wednesday's our last day of this campaign, and then we resume again prior to Christmas.
Well, actually, we're going to sell pies on Thanksgiving morning, and we're trying to create a new tradition of reparations to Black Power Blueprint on Thanksgiving Day, what's called Thanksgiving, which everybody knows is a genocide, a celebration of genocide,
right, and
the theft of this land. And Lamina from Union del Barrio will be here at the Uhuru House afterwards. And, you know, she called today to really support the Black Power Blueprint campaign and order pies in the Mexican community in San Jose. And that is just powerful. You know, the unity between the African and indigenous people is tangible. It's real.
And here, you know, in front of the Uhuru House here in Oakland, the red, black, and green flag flies along with the Mexican flag, the Mexican national flag, here above the Uhuru House. And it's very moving and shows the powerful, deep unity between the African and indigenous people.
Right.
So, you know, we just need people to support it. If you're in the Bay Area, please order your pie. We really are going to be working on getting pies up to Oregon and Washington and other parts of the U.S. soon.
Yep.
But right now, if you're in the Bay Area and you have a pie or you want a pie, please go to uhurupies.org and order.
And you can still plan to come down. We hope the weather's better in December. Come on down and join us, you know, anytime in December. We're hoping that, you know, people are doing a holiday event or a party or, you know, a crafts fair or, you know, play or whatever. Have us come and do a concession at your event. It's very popular. It's a really nice way for people to have a great experience at your event and support Black Power Blueprint. So those are some other things you can do.
All right.
We want to bring Bakri on.
Bakri is not going to join us for the live stream, but I definitely wanted to appreciate tremendous work for Bakri today out in front of the Safeway. You know, with having to deal with this air quality, it's definitely hampering everyone's activity, getting people headaches. As you can hear, my voice is a little hoarse as well.
Octaves lower.
Yeah, definitely feeling throaty today.
I changed my sweater.
So we have $5 left on the study goal, and I'm going to return $5 in stolen hoarded resources from the white community to make our $110 study goal for today. We had a powerful day selling pies. Again, thank you to everyone who had an indoor location for us. And then, December 20th through the 24th is the volunteering dates here in Oakland, and then also in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I will be December 20th through 24th with the Uhuru Pies campaign down there. So 10,000 pies for Black Power Blueprint, blackpowerblueprint.org, Giving Tuesday. Let's make it a season of giving all the way through to the end of the year. Support this liberated economic development in St. Louis, Missouri, which will go on to be replicated in every city, you know, under the party's leadership. This is an awesome time, and we want this to be your plan to exit parasitic capitalism and 6 centuries of complicity with colonial genocide and terror. So thank you so much, Uhuru. Unity through reparations. Uhuru.